Greetings, gentlefolk. Tonight we're going to continue our playthrough of Dragon Warrior. And just to make the whole entire experience feel authentic, we're going to just load the game up here from the start screen. And I always love how that comes in with that great bassy doo-doo in the beginning there. It really gives the whole thing a little sense of impact to it. Glad thou hast returned. All our hopes are riding on thee. Before reaching thy next level of experience, thou must gain 292 points. See me again when thy level has increased. Goodbye now, Erdrick. Take care and tempt not the fates. So, as you probably have noticed, I have been a little bit on the busy side and gained a few levels. I'm now level 7, and I have a whopping 861 gold. I haven't done anything with any of the money I've earned so far, and it'd be nice if this soldier would get it out of their way. And I still have the club. We'll take a look here. That's all that I use to fight and grind my way up to level 7. And it's not really too big of a deal, because the club's not a bad starting weapon. And I decided to skip the copper sword, which, if you remember, is in the town there to the right, in favor of the hand axe. And to get that, we're going to take a little walk. I thought it'd be nice to explore some of the towns and stuff that are available here in the, no, I don't know what this world's called. I think Breckenray is the name of the world, but I'll have to look that up. They're available in the world here. So, this is Garinham. We'll have to get rid of the slime. There we go. You have to forgive me, guys. I think I'm getting a little bit of a cold. And my voice is a little on the hoarse side tonight. So, we'll talk to these friendly shopkeepers and townspeople. Garin was a wandering minstrel of legendary fame. Is said to Garin, a wandering minstrel of legendary fame, is said to have built this town. I've heard of one named Nestor. Dost thou know such a one? Many believe that Princess Waylin is hidden away in a cave. All this stuff is actual clues, so we'll talk to the tool shop here and see if we're going to get a good deal for the item I want to buy. And yeah, so I do believe that the dragon scale is 20 at the other town, so we're going to pick this up. And the reason I'm buying that is because it can be worn. As you see, I only have about 8 defense power. So, taking the dragon scale and putting it on, Erdrick donned the scale of the dragon. Will give us a big whopping 10 defense power. But, you know, that's not bad for a not really even piece of equipment, because it doesn't count as your shield or body armor. That's not bad for 20 gold. And I haven't bought, you know, any kind of body armor yet, so it'll help us out. The reason I skipped over the body armor is, at least in my opinion, I think the earlier armors are kind of worthless. Might be wrong, but the game seems to pick from a range of damage, so if an enemy can do, say, 1 damage to you, it's also possible that they can do 2 or 3. I think the defense, of course, reduces that, but when you're talking about the small amounts of damage that the enemies do early on in the game, I don't really think having a couple extra points of defense really matters much. So that's why I've skipped over stuff like the clothes and the leather armor and the small shield. I did just skip the scale because it's really cheap and you can hold it for the rest of the game. I could be wrong about all this, and feel free to correct me. But things do tend to be expensive in this game, so I try to keep the cost of equipment down a little bit. So we will talk to this guy. And we're going to pick up the hand axe. The hand axe? I will buy the club for 30 gold. Is that okay? Yes. I thank thee. And no, we don't want to buy anything else. I would love to buy a large shield. I might actually buy the chainmail. We'll see how we do. We'll see. You can see I actually gained 11 points of attack just from buying that hand axe there. It said, oh, okay, well she was taken eastward. Alright, so I thought I talked to him, but he just said that the princess is kidnapped and taken to the east. So that was Garin for now. If we were to invest in a magic key... Wow, he survived that. If we were to invest into a magic key, we would have been able to open that door and enter a dungeon, but I would die horribly at this point. And these magicians are very dangerous. These are probably, out of everything I encountered, the most dangerous of the enemies on this part of the continent. As you can see, they can cast the spell Hurt, and Hurt can do somewhere between like 3 and 10 points of damage. So depending on your luck, it can really beat you up. Of course, slimes are nothing. There's one thing I try to do while grinding in this game. I try to do it very efficiently and fight things that I can kill in 1 to 2 turns. And that's because if you can use the heal spell and you're careful about how you do things, you can really stay out in the field for a long time without having to walk back to the castle or to a town to rest and restore your magic and hit points. And eventually, we won't really be able to feasibly use the Drakies are running away. Eventually we won't be able to use the castle because we will be far afield and we'll be relying on the inns at the various towns. So hopefully I'm going the right way. I didn't really scout ahead much. But I do believe there's a town up here. And I wanted to do a dungeon. There was actually a dungeon to the south of Garinham that I did want to check out. Unfortunately, Magiraki. Unfortunately, I don't have the light spell yet. I thought I'd learn it sooner. And I don't want to wander around dungeons with just a torch. So I thought it'd be nice to just visit some of the towns here, get some equipment and check them out. And see, we were able to one-shot that magician. That's pretty good. And there's the... I was always amused by these ghosts. Oh, well, this is an interesting area. I've always wondered at, you know, what secrets might be in this game. I don't know of many. There are a few hidden items. Probably the most important of which is Erdrick's sword and his armor. It's probably a little bit of a spoiler, but we will be encountering those. And it's another reason why I haven't bought armor yet. I'm actually kind of hoping to be able to hold out until I can get Erdrick's armor. I don't know if I'll be able to push that far ahead without body armor. I'll probably buy the large shield for 800 though. Here's another town. I don't remember what this one's called. We'll have to talk to the people. There is a very important item hidden here. I think I remember where it is. We'll see if we can find it. This is the village of Coal. Okay, well there you go. Please save us from the minions of the Dragon Lord. Dreadful is the South Island. Great strength and skill and wit only will bring me back from that place. A lot of M's. East of Hawksness there is a town, 'tis said, where one may purchase weapons of extraordinary quality. That's pretty important clue. That's probably the last town you'll visit. This game is kind of open, because I could have just bypassed Garinham and come here, or even just skipped over this place and went to another town that's to the south. You can really kind of do things how you want to an extent. Let's see what he has to sell us. Okay, that's good. I'm a little concerned that maybe the hand axe is cheaper here, and elsewhere. I've been casting a lot of heal spells, so I have heal on the brain. In legends it is said that fairies know how to put the golem to sleep. Now that's really a very important clue. Did we talk to this young lady here? If she'll let me. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, we'll save you from Dragon Lord. Okay, come on. The NPCs in this game love to run from you. Golem is afraid of the music of the flute, so 'tis said. This bath cures rheumatism. Hast thou seen Nestor? I think he may need help. So, if I remember correctly, let me go talk to this guy, he might tell us. We have to cross the poison swamp here. This is going to hurt us a little bit. I think it only does like 1 point of damage. 2. Ouch. But we'll just cross that. Though thou art brave as thy ancestor Erdrick, thou cannot defeat the great Dragon Lord with such weapons. Thou shouldst come here again. I don't know what that means. It's been quite some time since I've played this game, so I don't know if he gives you anything. I don't think he does. Art thou the descendant of Erdrick? Hast thou any proof? So, They ask you that a lot. There's actually an item. I forget how to get it, but it will act as proof of your lineage. Rimuldor is a place to buy keys. I think Rimuldor is the town I was talking about to the south. Let's see if we can catch this guy. Have been to the southern island? No. To the south, I believe there is a town called Rimuldor. What's this? Tool shop. And there's nothing really here. The wings are very useful, as well as the herb. The wings will teleport you back to the castle. And I don't know if you can teleport out of dungeons with them. I don't quite remember that. But they're at least helpful in that you don't have to trek back. There's also a spell that you can obtain, or you get it upon leveling up, that will allow you to teleport. So if I remember correctly, I always thought there was someone who gives you a hint. They might be behind where there's locked doors. If my memory serves me, 4 steps south of that pool here, we'll find an item. So let's try it. 2, 3, 4. By searching. Search the ground all about. Erdrick discovers the fairy flute. So this flute is what will come in handy fighting that golem they mentioned. That's some time off though. We really have to get strong enough to go to that town. Just walking there would kill us right now. So, I don't think we can... I guess I could buy some magic keys. I don't know how wise it would be to buy them now. We'll probably want them when we get to Rimuldor. And I might hold off on that. Take out another ghost there, another magician. One thing I wanted to point out about this game is that this game is very significant. I think I mentioned that earlier. When I was a kid, I thought this was like the first RPG ever made. That's very wrong. Yeah, obviously there were things. I think this is made in 86 or 87. But obviously there were quite a few things that predated this. Yeah, particularly I guess things like Ultima, which I think got its start in 83. Maybe even as far back as 81, I'm not sure. But there were definitely quite a few games that predated this, that were RPGs. This game's significant because this was very possibly the first NES RPG. And the person who made it, I forget their name, but they did so in order to introduce the genre to the Japanese public. Because until Dragon Quest, or Dragon Warrior as we call it, RPGs were totally a Western phenomenon. And that's really kind of, it's kind of hard to imagine today, because a lot of times when you think of RPGs, sure there's stuff like Skyrim and Fallout, and other things that are really big today, WoW, and they're all, all Western games, but you also probably think of stuff like Final Fantasy, and of course Dragon Quest, so Shin Megami Tensei is another. So it's really important that this guy made this game, and it was designed to be simple. And people point out that this game is very simplistic. I've heard people say it's boring. That's all a matter of opinion, and I can see how this game can be boring. Personally, I like this game. I think it's a very well-designed, well-put-together, fun game. It is a bit slow. That's why I do a lot of the work off-screen, because I was grinding for easily an hour. But it was designed, it was purposely designed to be simple, because at the time, you know, no one in Japan knew what an RPG was, at least not the average video game player. So they had to be introduced to the idea, because at least here in the States we did have stuff like Dungeons and Dragons and Ultima, and even the early predecessors to MMO, the multi-user dungeons, which, you know, they were video games. They were text-based for the most part, but they were video games and they were RPGs. Japan didn't have any of that, and they had to have something to introduce them. And, you know, I couldn't imagine, you know, throwing a game at, you know, an entire group of people that would be very complex and evolved, like, you know, a D&D game or something that has no context. You know, it's just throwing that into the market. It would be a very bold and probably unwise move, so they came up with Dragon Warrior. And I have to look up the person's name, I forget their name. But, you know, they wanted something that was a little more simple and easy to figure out. And it was a hit. You know, it was probably a very wise move. Because Dragon Warrior was, for many years, until Final Fantasy started to take off, and, you know, subsequent games, it was really the franchise in Japan. So, you know, very important game, very wise move, in my opinion, to make it a more simple game. And when you look at it, it is well constructed. You know, there is a certain amount of freedom that you have when you walk out of the town. You don't necessarily have to go to the first town. You know, you could go up to Garinham. You might get killed, but you know, you can do things in a different order. Just like I'm talking about, you know, not necessarily buying armor, waiting until I get Erdrick's armor. And I'm also debating, you know, how am I going to explore the game? Because I could go, you know, right now I could start pushing towards Wimbledon, which is, you know, in many ways the next spot I would be looking at. So I wanted to throw that out there. I think it's an important thing to keep in mind when you look at this game, because, you know, if you're just looking at it, you know, within its own context, yeah, you know, it is very simple and it doesn't have a whole lot to it. But that's exactly what they were going for. And, you know, if you're someone who's new to RPGs, I would actually suggest this game as a first RPG. Because of how complex some of these games can be. My first RPG was Ultima Exodus on the NES, and that game is incredibly complex, you know, especially for its time, and especially for an NES game. Even by today's standards, you know, it's what you would call a super hardcore RPG. You had to manage your character's food, you'd have to open chests dropped by enemies to get gold in that game, and sometimes the chest would have a trap in it, and you could get killed just by opening the chest. It was brutal. A brutal game. It wasn't a bad game, but, you know, this game is a little more forgiving, and it's a good way to break people into the idea of an RPG. I'm gonna go south here a little bit before I finish up the video, just to see if we can withstand the attacks of these enemies, and to show you guys where I want to head to. I really wanted to do a dungeon in this video, but I don't think I'm ready yet. The light spell would help a lot in a dungeon. I don't really want to go through a dungeon without it. And there we go. I don't really remember where this dungeon is, actually. I think it's to the south a little bit. You have to be very careful when exploring this area. Oof. Another attack. I think they notch up the frequency of these random battles once you get away from the castle. You have to be careful when exploring around here. I could very well die, because if you go a little too far to the south, you'll encounter knights and things that are very dangerous enemies that can take you out in a few hits, so we're going to be very careful around here and watch how the fights change. In fact, we should be encountering skeletons very soon. At least I'm getting some more experience in gold. Hopefully I'll be able to buy that small or large shield soon. I feel that's a good investment because... okay, yeah, so there's a dungeon right there. And I'll show you what happens if you go in a dungeon without a torch. You can see a single block. Oh, and we have a random battle, so it's just a ghost. And what you just saw there with that black screen, that is something that I do complain a lot about RPGs like this. And yeah, as I said, this is kind of like the introductory RPG for Japan. And just about every RPG that followed for a while copied this, just like, you know, with MMOs, everyone copies World of Warcraft. Well, everyone used to copy Dragon Warrior. That, you know, that's something to complain about is, you know, we saw there's just that black screen down there with, you know, in the fight with, your status window. A lot of those, games did that. In Dragon Warrior, it doesn't bother me as much. You know, it might be a double standard. I don't know. But to me it makes sense because you're in a dark dungeon. You know, all you have is a torch. And I feel that it kind of gives it some effect. Out here, you know, you're out in the broad daylight. And it's kind of nice to see that, you know, there's a little background. And it's not just a sprite floating in space. So, I don't know, maybe that's me just, you know, applying a double standard and saying it's okay for Dragon Warrior to do it than other games. But, you know, they implement it differently. And these scorpions are tough. This is... what I mean is, if you step a couple steps to the south here, things start to get a lot more menacing. And these are actually a good enemy to fight. If you're trying to level up, if I remember correctly, because they give you some fair experience, and they don't really hit you with any kind of dangerous magic spells. As you can see, I did learn a few more spells. I don't know if I had hurt in last video, but I know I didn't have sleep. I don't really bother with hurt or sleep very much, because you're mostly just better off saving your magic points to cast... oh, I got sneak attacked. You're mostly better off just saving them to cast, stuff like heal and light. And you'll do that a lot, especially in the dungeons. I should probably get out of here. These enemies are slightly out of my depth. I could probably use another level. I'm gonna try to get 2. Hopefully this next level I'll get light. And then I'll level up again to get us some more MP so we can use light. And we'll give that dungeon a visit. But for now I'm just going to limp back home. And once we get to the... Once we get to the castle, I'll save and quit, and I want to show you guys the way that the game shuts down. I mean, there's nothing special to it, you know, but it's just something I always remember from this game when I played it years ago. Oh man, this thing... It hurts spell when it is an effective weapon. The hand axe really kind of makes it obsolete. But, you know, when you are lower level and you don't have the equipment, it is useful. I just personally prefer to rely on my weapon. This little bastard here. Uncle Fester. I did kind of want to do 2 videos tonight with Dragon War. I think I'm not going to be able to. Because like I said, I'm not feeling my best. I probably will level up a bit. And hopefully tomorrow I can continue. I don't know if I'm getting cold. Like I mentioned, I do have allergies. And, you know, in the spring, when the weather gets warmer, they start to bother me. And I am out of medication, unfortunately, so I have to run to the store and get some. And maybe tomorrow I'll be feeling better if it's not a cold. Oh, if it's a cold, I'll feel better anyway if I'm taking the medication. So yeah, I apologize for that. I did say I'd make one tonight, and I didn't want to disappoint, so... You know, I try to be very consistent with these videos and do them on a regular basis. A lot of times, like with the Mega Man videos, I actually do them ahead of time, so that way, you know, if I get sick or if I go away or something, you know, I can just upload them, and you guys will at least have a new video that week. But, so yeah. I know this was not a terribly eventful video, but you did at least get to see in the towns and some of the progress I made. I didn't want to just go ahead and buy those items and say, oh, look at the stuff I got. Because even though I feel that, you know, walking around for hours, you know, just, you know, circling the town, killing enemies, isn't very fun to watch. I do think that, you know, going to the towns and getting equipment and doing the dungeons and talking to the NPCs, I think all that stuff's pretty entertaining. Personally, I like to see it. I do kind of like to try to do things in videos that, you know, I like to see in videos. But of course, I'm always open to input, and if you guys like to see that, you know, walking around and, you know, bashing enemies for an hour, then I have no problem making a video like that. But, you know, that's, you know, my philosophy. So we will talk to King Lorik and save our game, and I'm greatly pleased thou hast returned, Erdrick. Before reaching thy next level of experience, thou must gain 157 points. So we did pretty well, just walking around and exploring those towns. I think we gained like not quite 150 points of experience, so we gained a good chunk. Will thou tell me thy deeds so they won't be forgotten? Yes. Thy deeds have been recorded on the Imperial Scrolls of Honor. Dost thou wish to continue thy quest? No. Rest then for a while. And this is what you would see when you turned it off. And you better take that shit seriously if you're using an actual real NES. If you turn the power off first, the Imperial Scroll of Honor containing your deeds may be lost. When like I said, I think I was 12 or 13 when I played this. I turned the power off without holding that reset button. And the Imperial Scroll of Honor containing my deeds was lost. And I think I was about halfway through the game when I did it. So when they used to advise you to do that to, I guess cutting the power off, it probably did something to the battery. I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up. I'm curious about it. But whatever it was, you could lose your save when you did that. So I thought that's an amusing little anecdote. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch these videos. I'm enjoying playing this game very much. It's nice to revisit it, and it's nice to look at it. I never really thought of it. It was always just something that was there to me. I never really thought of this game, in its context and how it's constructed. And like I said, I think in many ways it's a very well developed game and accomplished what the developers set out to do. So, interesting piece of gaming history here. And we're going to see some pretty cool stuff, really, when we continue on in this game. And after that, I do intend to play Dragon Warrior Part 2, and I'm going to have to correct myself in the comments because I was talking to Wolfgang Gamer King, and I said I had Dragon Warrior Part 2. I said it was a ROM hack. It's not a ROM hack. I was very wrong. It's actually Dragon Warrior 2. The way it was named is kind of odd, and it just seemed like something a ROM hacker would call, like kind of like unofficial sequel to this game. Where they might change up the sprites and layout of the game and stuff like that. So I was very wrong. Dragon Warrior Part 2 is Dragon Warrior 2, and I would like to visit that game after this. But we'll take it one step at a time because I'm not even close to being halfway through this game. So there's a good bit of ground to cover. So thanks again for watching. I will be back, and until then, good luck and happy gaming.